Hey, Delaware. Welcome back to another episode of That Delaware podcast. And today we have Renee with us. And Renee is from Elevated Studios, right?
Yep.
It's a Jiu-Jitsu studio. And she is a friend of Caitlin's. And Caitlin's children actually go to the Jiu-Jitsu classes at the studio. So getting into this, like we can talk about how you guys met, but Renee, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who's Renee and like how did this whole jiu-jitsu studio come about?
Okay, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Like, who
it
are you?
is.
And how did you
Tell us your whole story.
Yeah. Well, back in 1986. No, I'm kidding. I guess the quick little background on me is that I grew up in South Jersey in a small town in Salem County, like right over the Delaware Bridge. And had a great childhood there, like super close with my grandparents, very into like music and theater and singing and the arts and all that stuff. And I ended up going to school I graduated high school in South Jersey and went to college in Pennsylvania, Eastern University. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. It's like near Villanova.
Okay.
Like in the main line.
Okay.
Went there and I did like a triple major for like elementary, early, and special education and wanted to be a teacher. So I came back after I graduated to my hometown trying to find a teaching job, but it's like small town, there's only like a couple schools, and a lot of people were already kind of in that school system for so long, like nobody was really leaving. So I had to branch out. And so where I grew up is like the first exit over the Delaware Bridge. So we would come to Delaware for a lot of things growing up, like the mall and movies and stuff. So I was like, I'll just start applying to jobs in Delaware. So I applied and I got a job at a school in Delaware. So I moved to Delaware and got my own apartment and kind of like started my adult life like that. And once I moved to Delaware and made some new friends, I met a friend. Actually, her name was Caitlin, but not this Caitlin. And she was super into that Preston and Steve morning show.
Oh,
I don't know if anybody. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's like before podcasts
Yep.
and before like social media, like people listen to radio shows, like and people like Preston and Steve. If you're not familiar, they're still doing their show.
Yeah, they're
And
in
it's like-
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Very popular show.
Yeah.
They actually had, Kathy Romano was a
Okay.
part of it.
Yeah.
And for years, and she's no longer a part of it. Like her contract was up and they didn't renew it. I don't know if anybody knows that
I didn't know
tape.
that.
Yeah, but now she's on B101.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like my
I know.
family, like I had family members who were super into Preston and Steve. I didn't really listen to them. But when I met this girl, I mean, I heard like clips here and there, but you were like, if you were a fan, you were like a fan of them. So this girl that I became friends with was one of those like real big fans of Preston and Steve. And she was always trying to go to events that they had. Cause like it's a radio show. So they would show up at like a movie premiere or a race or something. So this is kind of like, it's silly, but so she really wanted to go to their Painfully Singles mixer.
I was hoping it was going down this lane because I've been to one.
Oh my gosh, really?
Me and my
I didn't know
girlfriends
that.
What
went.
if it was the same year?
I know.
2011.
It
I
could
think.
have
Or
been
was it
an
2010?
overlap.
2011.
Honestly, I think that was the
It was
year.
it was at Lucky Strikes in Philly.
Okay, maybe not. It was
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no, but it was like right around there.
This is
Crazy.
so Amber coded to have potentially like met someone.
That is,
Yeah.
This is great. I was like,
Years ago.
tell me she's been to a singles mixer.
So I begrudgingly went. Well, what happened was I said to her like no. First of all, I said no, and she was like, but we're not going there to like meet people, like guys. We're going there to talk to the radio people. Like she's legit like in love with these people.
So endearing.
I was like, as long as we go and we only talk to the radio people, I will agree. Because not that I didn't want to meet somebody, but not in that situation.
In that
it felt
setting.
too like
Pressure.
everybody's looking at each other like a potential mate, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that just feels weird.
Yeah.
So we went. And we did what she said, which is talk to the radio people. And I got to talking to Preston specifically for a while. And he was like, you got to meet my trainer. And I was like, ew, definitely not. Like that couldn't be like, then he tried to get me even more interested by saying like, he's got a 6-pack. And I'm like, that is the last thing I care about. Like, I don't care about,
You're like, you're losing me more and more.
yeah, like I don't care about some like meathead guy. Like, no, thank you. And he's like, no, you don't understand. You guys would be perfect for each other. And I'm like, I'm walking away. And he's like, no. I'm like, no, I'm really walking away. Like, if you can somehow snag this 6-pack guy before I exit this door, then ding, 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 you're the winner. But otherwise, like, I'm leaving. I'm like getting my bag. I'm like, Caitlin, we're leaving. This is so awkward. So we start leaving, and Preston comes over with Steven, my now husband.
Get out of here. I was wondering if this is where it was going. Let's go. I love
That's
this.
amazing because I did not know that story, and I now know both you and Steven, your husband.
Yeah. So
This is amazing.
yeah. So he brings him over to me, and he, you know, of course, he came with a friend too. He came, of course, you know, his excuse is he came because Preston and Steve brought them everywhere. He would, you know, if he wanted to go to a movie premiere, it would, because he was Preston's trainer. So he trained Preston for a number of years and helped him lose like a ton of weight. At that time,
That's amazing.
yeah, at that time, Stephen was teaching primarily Krav Maga, which is like more of like a self-defense martial art. There was like a movie with like Jennifer Lopez where she did like Krav Maga. I don't know.
Not enough. Was it enough?
I think it was.
I think. Okay.
I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like the
do I
only
access
connection I think
that?
people have to it. But yeah, so he trained, I mean, he ended up getting Preston to black belt in Krav Maga and like trained him and helped him lose weight. So he was always really grateful for Steven.
I know about
So you
this
guys
because I
were set
listened to
up-
the show.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's my husband, right? So he would
That's
bring him
amazing.
places and stuff. So he's like, you go bring your business cards, whatever. So he was there for business and I was there to help a friend. But yeah, we ended up talking and yeah. And then he ended up like at one point, like looking at his watch and was like, oh, you know, I actually have to go. And I'm such the type that's like, I don't ever want to come across desperate in any type of way. And I'm not even desperate. So it's not even
Right.
an act. So when he like even looked at his watch, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go. I was like, wait, what's your number? I was like, I'm not going to give you mine, but you can give me yours. And he gave me his number and we ended up, so at the time I was living in like the Pike Creek area as like a new teacher and he was living in Trolley with friends from college in like a house on Delaware Ave. So we ended up meeting in Trolley for like drinks. And then 1 year from almost from the day we met, we got engaged, and then we were married 6 months later. So like within a year and a half of meeting, we were married.
Did
Yeah,
Preston and Steve come to your wedding?
they did.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, does Preston know
Yes.
what he did?
Of course, yeah. And in fact, I just had my neighbor actually just texted me like a few weeks ago and was like, Preston was just talking about you guys again, about how they were talking about matching people up.
On
And
the
he's like,
radio?
yeah, and then
That
he
is such
brought
a
us up
cool
again because
story.
like he matched us up.
Yeah.
So yeah, he came to the wedding and everything, and
That's amazing that he met
It's
you
cool.
for like a short amount of time and just knew that you guys, and you, I mean,
yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of those things that just happened to like work
Yeah.
out like that. But when I met him, he shared in that first conversation about how much he loved martial arts and was so passionate. And to me, I'm like, martial arts,
Like, why do you think we're
what is that?
a match?
You know what I mean?
because of
Well,
that?
but even like what, like I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
into singing and crafts
like, is
and
this
like
guy like a ninja?
yeah, like
What's
are
going on
you
here?
being are you weird? You know, like are you like slicing apples in the air with like a sword or like chopping boards
weird?
and concrete with your feet? I don't even know what they do, but that's what I thought. I'm like, I don't know what this means. But so then we started hanging out and I would go with him to Philly where he was training jiu-jitsu. He was teaching Krav Maga for someone else and then he would train jiu-jitsu on the side, but that was his main passion. And I would go with him to Philly where he trained at Balance Studios in Philly. And like the guys that were there and the girls that were there were just so not uncool looking. Like they were so like tough and they were working hard and they were sweating and they were smiling and just it just seemed like a different culture that I had never experienced. I was expecting to see like these dorks with like big bellies and like they're, you know, I don't know. Yeah, hiya, that's what I thought. But it wasn't. It was like they were actually like wrestling each other, but smiling and strong and like working hard and it was really cool. I'm like,
It sounds like it was like
cool.
a sense of community.
yeah. So then we met and I had shared with him that day too that I wanted to get my master's degree. So once we started dating, it was like it came a priority. Like he really wanted me to do that if that's what I wanted to do. So I got my master's degree and then it was literally I graduated that December and then he like the following December and then we started talking about opening up a school for jiu-jitsu. And I had never done any martial arts. I did do a little Krav Maga. Once I met him, I did that. I thought that was fun. It was a lot of like learning how to like punch and use elbow, like defend yourself. Like someone's choking you. How do you get out of that?
But for the most part, in the beginning, you were like, all right, that's cool. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do my thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, and we talked about, we lived in Trolley at that time. We'd moved to an apartment in Trolley, got married right across the street from St. Anne's Church in Trolley. And we had talked about like, well, where do you want to open a school? And we had thought about Pennsylvania, like the media area, because we were just thinking, oh, that's an area that seems to be, doing well. Like there's people there that could afford martial arts. We didn't want to like go back to my hometown. That didn't seem to be like the right move. So we were moving towards Pennsylvania, and at the same time, we really loved our neighborhood, like Trolley, just love it. We would walk around all the time. And so one day we were on a walk and we were passing by the shopping center and we saw a space for rent. And it just like kind of dawned on us, like, wait, we could rent a space like right in our own neighborhood. Like we don't have to do this somewhere else. We could just do this here. Like, and when we had that realization and we saw that space, it kind of like everything just like came together and we were like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like this makes sense. Like it was all in alignment with like, we love this neighborhood. The space is available. We were 3 blocks away from that space. Like it was like, oh, let's do this. So we just jumped on it. And
so what year was that? Did you open the first?
So 2014,
Okay.
we opened the school. So we were married for 3 years, like while I got my master's and we got married and all of that. And then we opened the school in April of 2014. So we're actually celebrating 12 years this month. Which
Wow.
Was there any trepidation at first about like going into business together, or were you kind of just
well, so I didn't know. I didn't really think we were going into business together. It was like
his
we're
thing.
just gonna, like more like. So I didn't really say this like I should have. I actually was really into the Krav Maga thing. Like I got pretty into it. Like I earned a couple belts and I trained a few days a week.
Okay.
I didn't have kids. Like I was
back when we had our own lives.
Yeah, it was different. But I felt pretty involved. Like I knew the people in that community and it was cool. So I kind of thought it would be more of that. I didn't really, in a naive way, like I'm sure we all feel, like I didn't really know what I was stepping into. I thought it was just going to be this, I don't want to say easy, but just like, oh, this is what we're doing. I don't know. I didn't really put much thought into it. It was like, okay, we're just going to do this. Like you're going to do it and I'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll be here for your support system.
That's what I thought. But it became evident from like day one, like down to just like how to furnish the lobby.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's going to be me, not because he's not capable, but just because I am interested in doing things too.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, okay, like I don't want to just like leave you to do this. I also want to hang out with you. So if you have to do everything, like we're never going to see each other. So like, let's just get this going. Like
that sounds pretty
And I'm
healthy,
sure you enjoyed that part more than he did.
Oh yeah.
Like designing the lobby.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And so, we opened in April of 2014. And then by July, I started training. Cause I mean, so it's funny. It's like, I didn't even train jiu-jitsu. I witnessed it, but I never did it until July. And when I first started doing it, it was very weird. I'm like, why are we, like, I grew up with sisters. Like, why are we on the ground, first of all? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Don't touch me.
Like, don't touch me. Like, and like, why are you trying to like wrestle me? Like, what's the point? It felt so.
I wish we could take a break here on the recording and show people what jiu-jitsu looks like, because I feel like most people don't.
It's just wrestling. It's just essentially wrestling. I mean, there's more. Obviously, it's art and there's technique involved, but it's essentially the nitty gritty of it is you're on the ground and you're wrestling someone. But your face. You're like,
because I mean it is, yeah. Wrestling with like
I know
specific technique.
Yeah, exactly. Like how do I control someone on the ground? And then it's like, so anyway, I started doing it, and within a few months, I really like pushed through the awkward uncomfortableness. And then once I like learned a few things and was like able to execute it, it became more fun. So, and then I really took off with my interest. But to be honest, it always, and still kind of is, like always been like more of his thing. So now I actually have my black belt, right? I got that in October. Yeah. So it took me like 11 years, right? So it's not like I'm just sitting on the sidelines. I am participating. It's just not, it never was from the beginning like my number one passion. Like it's his passion. But I have come to embrace all the benefits of martial art training. Like we really put a lot of emphasis on like character development, and that is embedded in our youth programs, like patience, perseverance, discipline, focus, self-control, all these character traits that everybody wants, right? Especially for their kids, but that seeps into the adult program because like how can it not? Like that's what a martial artist is, right? Like when I think of like a martial artist or a ninja, it's like somebody who's just has like the utmost
discipline.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like I have really stepped into that and just love every bit of that, you know, like to be somebody who can set a goal and go after it and discipline yourself and like and feel empowered through that process of like just really tapping into like your potential is so exciting to me. So that's what I love about it.
It's funny hearing you tell like your kind of origin story into the world of jiu-jitsu because I know you because I'm an Elevated Studios mom. My kids, like at the end of last summer, we were choosing like what activities to do, and my daughter floated like, let's do jiu-jitsu, and I was like, okay. That I knew nothing about
Never
it.
would have taken
Yeah,
Caitlin for like getting her kids into
Yeah, it's not
jujitsu.
something I was passionate about. No, like no judgment. I guess it sounds like there's no judgment, but like it just
Because I think people think it is something that it's not, and I like you
Exactly.
touched on it. Like it's so much deeper than that.
So I can tell you that like from the day my kids started, I was like, oh, this is different. Like this is not just them out there doing an activity, playing games.
Yeah.
When you talk about the like character development stuff, every month with the youth program, there's a theme, and the kids are learning about that theme and how they are implementing that on the mat and off the mat. And I hear my children on their own. My daughter is saying, Augie, that's not showing responsibility. We were just talking about this on Saturday morning.
I know.
And like that I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis how jiu-jitsu is influencing their discipline.
Yeah.
We're a very like, I'm not an athlete. Their dad is not an athlete. Like they are not like very physical people. They're very gentle, but like they're learning how to like be comfortable in their bodies, and they're learning how to, and like even when they started, I was like, you would never catch me out there. I would be like, get your hands off of me. Like, don't touch me. But now I'm like, I kind of want to do it.
Yeah.
Like it seems like a really cool way to just take ownership of your body.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
So it's cool hearing that you kind of had the same experience getting into it.
For sure. And I think a lot of adults feel like that. Like they'll be coming to their class towards the end of the youth class, and they hear the mat chat happening at the end of the youth class where the coaches are talking about whatever the theme is. And they're kind of like, oh, yeah, that apply. I mean, it can apply to
I use it in
anyone's
my
life.
parenting. I was
Yeah.
like, I know, like Coach Steve was saying, focus is very hard, and you don't always have to be looking at the person you're talking to, but you have to show that you're respecting. Like,
Yeah.
it is really cool how all encompassing jiu-jitsu is. And is that specific to your studio, or is
Well,
that
so you know, so Steven, my husband, he got his black belt in a few martial arts. I don't know. I feel like Taekwondo, probably whatever those like normal.
We're not gonna know anyway.
Yeah, so it's like it's
You can just tell us
he got
whatever.
like all a bunch of black belts and higher degrees in other martial arts, and those are more like traditional martial arts. And with traditional martial arts, they really do focus a lot on like the character development stuff. Whereas jiu-jitsu is more of a contemporary martial art. It didn't even really come to the States, I don't think, until like the 90s or something. So it's a newer martial arts to the US, and but what he always loved about the traditional martial arts is the character development stuff. And so we tried to blend, and what's really cool is when he was teaching for someone else, Krav Maga, they had their own system for their youth program, and they called it I think they called it like black belt excellence sheets. And so every month they had to complete this sheet that went with some sort of theme. But they were really outdated. And there were things on these sheets that we were like, I don't know if this language is even like appropriate anymore. Like we're talking stuff from like the late 80s, early 90s, you know? So like, and just some of the themes, and our world is very different now.
Yeah.
So for a long time we used those sheets because we were just a new business trying to survive. But like as we've grown more comfortable and more just secure in like who we are and what we value and like what our business is, we then like developed our own like character development system, which we call like the Level Up Life character development system. So they have different themes that we've come up with, like 12 really important that we think are really important. So we have like one each month. It's always the same one in January, February, and that way it just like makes it easy.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, every January we know we're doing improvement. So I guess your question was, is that like common in jiu-jitsu? No, but it is common in martial arts, and we wanted to like merge the two together because we love jiu-jitsu, but we love the traditional aspects of like character development. So it's like, let's bring it together.
And as a parent, like I feel so like good and satisfied like being a part of this activity because it helps with my parenting. Like it when
Yeah.
we leave there like they're not just like they're so excited. They love going, but they're not just like hyped up. They're also like focused and they feel proud
Yeah.
and they've taken this like big character lesson away
Yeah.
from them in addition to the fun that they've had and like the things that they've learned.
Yeah.
And it's funny before when you were talking about like the space, because I know now you're in a different space than you were
Yeah.
when you first got started in Trolley. But when I walked in on the first day of jiu-jitsu, I was expecting it to be just like a dingy gym. And like I walked in and I felt like I was in a wellness studio. Like like it smells great. It's very clean. There's like plants and so much natural light. And
Yeah.
like you could tell that there's a woman's touch. But
Thanks.
when did you guys move from the space in like the Trolley Square shopping center to where you are now?
Yeah, we moved up. So we were in that shopping center for 9 years, and we reference it now in retrospect as like our boutique style place because it was very small.
Right.
I don't even know how big the space was, but I want to say it was probably around like 1,200 square feet total. But then if you take out like the changing room and the bathroom and
Yeah.
the lobby, we probably were working with like 800 square feet of mat
Yeah.
space. So it was very small. But we loved it because we live one block from that. We were on the end of the Trolley Square shopping center. So we were the closest house to the shopping center. So we could just walk one block, right? So we knew, and we have a lot of people that do walk because Trolley Square is like
Yeah,
a walkable
yes.
neighborhood. So we knew we wanted to stay there. We had a student in the neighborhood, and we had a student who has had a building where we are now, where he was like looking to rent space. There was a yoga studio and a dentist office, and like it was kind of like a mix of things in this upstairs part of the building. And so we went over and saw it, and it was funny because my husband went over and saw it first. And he came home and was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. And I was like, well, let me go see. And I go over, I'm like, yeah, this could totally work. Because it was a dentist office on like one part and then a yoga studio over there. And I'm like, we just get rid of all these walls. But I guess he
I feel like this is so relatable to like real estate, like, right? Where it's like some people have the vision and some people don't.
Yeah.
Right.
To be able to
it's
see
like,
that.
Yeah. To like, that's perfect example of like somebody being like, nope. And like the conversation with our sellers, like, look, we kind of have to do this because not everybody has vision. And like, even when you were describing walking in and you're like, it's very well lit, it smells good. It's
Those are things that you don't
clean. It's
realize how are
those are
important.
the things that are important.
Yeah. Totally.
Women
So,
make
like,
the world go.
yeah,
round.
totally. And like, I think that if people are like looking at a house, like they need someone who has that vision
Yes.
because
Absolutely.
then they can, because like without me doing that for my husband, that space would have been
Yes.
off the list for us. But yeah, so I was like, well, we'll just like knock them down. Yeah. So what was the question?
When did you guys move into this space?
Oh, so we moved in 3 years ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we've been there 3 years. Yeah.
That's so relatable. I'm always like, what ask them, I'm like, what was I saying? I don't know. Anyway.
It is the season of life
Yeah.
that we're in, which is also something that is pretty cool because like you do a lot. You were a former teacher. You run the jiu-jitsu studio.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He teaches the classes and I run the business part.
But you're also like
You also
you're homeschooling.
And I'm homeschooling, yeah. You know, I wanted to say something. You and I were talking recently, and you told me how you met Amber.
yes.
You told me the story of how you met Amber, and I honestly don't really remember all the details, but it was essentially like I align with your energy.
Mhm.
Like I like whatever you're doing, I want to be a part of that, right?
Exactly.
And that when you said that, it's something I've been actually like thinking about lately because that is such an important thing, I think, like to know what you value and like what matters to you. And then when you see something or experience something that's in alignment with that you like you seek out, like that you go after it.
Yeah, like I don't know
Like, I
how
want
you're
that.
I don't know how we're gonna fit in
Yeah.
to each other's lives, or I don't know how I'm gonna
Yeah.
implement this in my
Yeah.
life, but I know that this is something that I want to align myself
Yeah.
with.
So when we first opened Elevated in 2014, a few months in, this dad and his sons came in, started training. And when I met the dad, so the two kids were at the time 3 and 5. And, you know, I grew up with siblings and cousins and babysitting, and then I was a teacher. And then the school, I've been around a lot of kids, right? And these kids just, even at 3 and 5, just behaved so differently. Like they held themselves with a lot of confidence. They introduced themselves and like shook our hands, and the dad just had like interesting questions. Like they were just curious and Just the way that they showed up in the space was just different than what I was used to interacting with. And I noted it. Like, you know what I mean? How you just note like, oh, that's different. And then they started training, the kids started training, and I got to know this family, and I found out that they homeschooled. And I thought that was weird. I actually told the dad when he told me that he homeschooled. I was like, that's weird. That's just how I'm trying so hard not to be like just saying what's on my mind.
I
but,
mean, we are so
hard.
similar.
I'm like, oh, that's weird. And he took it so well. He's like, actually, it's a growing choice for families. I'm like, oh, is it? I mean, I worked in a school at that point when I met him. I was still teaching, so I was just like, what? But he would talk about like what they do, you know, like that they go to museums and they go to libraries and they go to concerts and they go to different programs, and they just had like this really like palpable like enthusiasm for learning, like just to like gobble everything up that they could, like let's go live life and experience
they hadn't been
the world.
indoctrinated yet.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh, I want that. Like that's the life I want. You know what I mean?
Before you even had kids.
Yeah. So then once we had our first kid, I was a part of like a mom group, you know, like how you probably do when you
As
first
the
become a
moms
mom.
do, yeah.
Absolutely.
And all of those moms out of like the 10 of us, all of them within the first few, you know, like by the time their kid was like 6 months old, they're already talking about like, you know, if they haven't already, daycare or school or preschool or whatever. And I was just like thinking, whoa, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like to just hand him over. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Cause at that point, up until then, we'd really made it work between, cause you know, it's like, we don't own a bar or a restaurant. Like we have a martial arts school. It's very family friendly. We can bring our kids, you know? And then my mother-in-law is incredibly helpful. So she has always from day one watched my kids 2 days a week, like full days, so that I can get work done. And actually also one evening a week, she watches them.
That's nice.
So she's really helpful. So I also have to say, like, obviously I'm very blessed in that way. I know that not everybody is. I have a lot of help from my family so that I can get my work done. And then when needed, bring them with me. But also like, I do kind of sort of have like a love-hate relationship with like the luck blessed thing. Cause it's like, I also aligned my life like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I worked
absolutely.
for that. So,
That's just a piece of it.
yeah. So, anyway, what was the point of this?
We're talking about homeschool.
Oh yeah. So I had him, we actually ended up going to a school and touring a school, an elementary school. And we were just like, this is not for us. And then it dawned on us, like, wait, we could homeschool, like how Jason does. Like, why don't we just homeschool? And once we got that in our in our vision, we were like, oh yeah, like it all clicked. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Just like how when you met Amber, it's like, this is the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
It was just one of those moments where it was like, the more we thought about it, we're like, oh my gosh, everything just lines up with that.
Yeah.
Like we left our jobs of security and whatever, to seek something more that we wanted for ourselves.
We can
right?
all relate to that.
So it's like, why would I then though say, now you have to go to school all day and follow someone else's plans when we can make our own plan?
And I can see being in the studio twice a week with you guys, I can see how you implement that in your family, but also in the studio. And it's cool for me because I'm very like, I don't want to say controlling, but like I get overwhelmed very easily. I need things to be a certain way. I try to run a tight ship, but like seeing that there's toddlers wandering around and there's kids playing games and what's going on the mat is still very focused. And there will be kids like climbing the walls and
my kids, you mean?
no, like, but there will be kids just being kids.
Oh yeah.
It feels like everyone who comes into the studio is allowed to be who they are. They don't have to like kind of stifle themselves. And you guys kind of will direct the energy without trying to stop people from being who they are. And that's something I've noticed. Like I'm always so impressed. Like when I see like kids, it's kind of like spider crawling around the mat while Steve is kind of delivering a lesson, and then he'll just gently redirect them and continue delivering. Like I would be like fritzing out. But so it's like a study for me in how to manage other people's behaviors without losing my own cool. I love coming to the Jiu-Jitsu studio. Like it's one of my favorite times of week is coming and like watching everyone. And it's just like, I've become friends with some of the families there. I love like talking to everyone.
I know, it's like Saturday morning is like my vibe now.
Yeah.
Like I love being there on a Saturday morning where it's just like And I don't love crowds, and I don't love a lot of noise. I get actually very overstimulated too. Like I actually told my husband the other day, like, and I know that it might sound funny, but I'm like, legit, like maybe you have an answer. Could I get like something to reduce the amount of noise coming at me all the time?
I was also a special educator in my previous life, and yeah, noise canceling headphones are.
I need that. I think
They now have like earbuds that you can put in that just like kind of muffle the noise.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is helping me. Even though it can be like a chaotic environment, it is still very calming. And I think it's like a very cool experience for someone who gets overwhelmed easily.
Yeah.
Just to see people like managing themselves in that environment. Yeah.
But so the point is I do homeschool, but it seems to me almost like not that big of a deal compared to like what I see other parents having to deal with school, like especially like these high schoolers, they come in after school. Like, so I teach a women's class on Monday nights. Okay. And I have some teen girls who come from high school, get dropped off, and they just like hang out in the lobby and do their homework. And sometimes and then are supposed to do the women's class. Sometimes they can't even do it because they're just so bogged down with work. And I feel like it's illegal. Like, I'm like, how are they allowed to have these kids for 7-8 hours? And then still assign them all this homework.
That's what I said about my niece.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
So we get like, I mean, of course, now my kids are only 4, 7, and almost 10. So they're young, and we'll deal with life as it comes. Like people are asking, even just yesterday at Easter, I had family asking me like, so are you going to homeschool like through high school? And I'm like, these are loaded questions. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we're taking it as it goes. All I do know is that we're not really interested in entering into a box with a lid and a key and a lock like that we don't have the key to. Like that's what it feels like to me. I was a student in public school and I was a teacher in public school, and it just feels too boxed in. Like there's not a lot of room for curiosity and creativity. It's like we've set this path out before you. You go from kindergarten all the way through here. You do these things that we lay before you. You don't deviate. You stay in line. You be quiet only when it's recess for 30 minutes a day. Maybe if this perfect weather will we go outside.
Right.
So it's so rigid, and I can't get on board with it. So we do our work in the morning. It takes us like 2.5 hours, and then we are outside a lot of the day because we need fresh air and
I love that.
yeah, and space. And again, I think it all really came from us not wanting to have a life that was dictated every move by a boss. So we wanted our own thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if we want that for us, we didn't really feel like it was in alignment with like who we are if we then sent our kids to a school and expected them to just like fall in line.
That's a big conversation that we have here amongst ourselves, and also on this podcast with our guests, because a lot of them are parents and mothers, and just running your own business and being able to do motherhood your way is such a powerful thing. And I know for some people it's harder than others, but it's cool to be around other parents that are kind of choosing to, like, I wish I could commit to homeschooling my kids.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like, as you're talking, my brain is just like, I'm like taking all of this in because I agree with you 100% on a lot of these things, but I'm also not willing to be a mom.
But I am
that
such a
homeschools.
cheerleader for other people that are.
Yeah, I love that you can do that.
I get that. I think we all have to do what works. That's why you got to know what like you want,
right?
And when you find it and you go, yes, this is what works for me and this feels good. It's like then go after that, and until it doesn't, and then shift.
When I see the 3rd grade math worksheets, I'm like, there's no way I could.
Oh, I know. You know, Steven's actually like kind of a math genius. Yeah, because Anton's doing 4th grade math, and I'm like, what? Like,
and that's what I was thinking too when you were like, we decided to. Yeah. And I know that some couples say we, and it's not always we.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a question too. Yeah. Like, is it truly we?
Oh,
like, is it you and him?
Well, because you figure, so we live 2 blocks. So we like to joke that when we moved that we doubled our commute. We went from 1 block to 2 blocks. But it's cool because then we just have one car and it just makes things simple. But so it's like, we're in the city, I guess, right, in Trolley. So we don't have much of a backyard, which sucks. But we also are like, well, that's the trade-off to live really close. You can't live in the country and 1 block from your country home have a jiu-jitsu school.
Can you talk to some of our clients?
Yeah, well,
right?
Cool
what do you want?
It's cool to hear you talk about that because I was just talking about how kind of like the dynamic of Trolley and where your studio is in Trolley and the kinds of families that come through.
Yeah.
And that, like, I'm a city girl. I lived in Brooklyn for almost 10 years. And like Trolley Square really is the closest thing we have, I would say, like anywhere in the state to like being like a true like city neighborhood.
Love it.
And most people who don't live in the city of Wilmington really don't understand the city of Wilmington. And they hear city of Wilmington and they think crime,
Yeah.
dangerous, ugly, like nothing going on. But you and I both know that that is not
Yeah.
the case at all.
But it can be if you go a few blocks.
Absolutely. But there's so much that Wilmington has to offer. And
Oh,
I
for
feel like
sure.
you guys are right in the epicenter of it. So can you speak to like, what is it like living and working in Wilmington in particular? Like what do you think makes Wilmington special? And what do you like and struggle with owning a business in Wilmington?
Well, what I love about Trolley specifically is that it is so walkable.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so we have a lot of people that live in the neighborhood and walk or ride their bike or run. We even have people who are like, I'm going to get my, cardio in before I get there. Legit, like they do that. I'm like, why? Just
That's
walk.
impressive. I've
I know,
seen
I'm like,
people
what
do
are
that.
you
And I'm
doing?
like, I'm gonna drive.
Yeah, I know. But I love that we're in a walkable place.
Right.
We also don't have a giant parking lot, and there are days like Tuesday, Thursday specifically, like when we have like we have classes every night, but like that those 2 nights specifically just get so like heavily attended in all the classes, and we do sometimes have parking lot issues. And a part of me is like, oh, I wish we had a bigger lot, but I'm also like, it's Trolley, like park on the street,
Yeah.
like walk a block.
To be expected.
It's you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, also like my husband has like almost zero tolerance for it because he trained in Philly for years.
Right.
Oh,
So he's like,
gosh.
yeah, you just park. Like
You
that's
just figure it out.
it's worth
Absolutely.
it to go to this premier place. Like that's what you do. So we're not really too concerned. But yeah, like it is. There are things about the city, like as a homeowner in the city. Yeah, I have a small yard, but then I get to like walk to the Acme because I forgot butter, and it's not a big deal.
Absolutely.
Or
Meet your friends for happy hour and then not have
Yeah.
to drive home.
And I love walking around the Trolley Square, Highlands, Rockford Park area.
Yeah.
I mean, I go on a walk like 3 days a week, like up to Rockford Park. Love that.
It's so
The
beautiful.
sledding is amazing in the winter, like, and then also what's cool is like being able as a parent to like teach your kids, proper like city etiquette, like when you're riding your bike or walking without it being like New York City.
That's
You know what I mean?
exactly why we chose to move to the city of Wilmington when we moved to Delaware. It's because I'm like, who knows where we'll end up? Like they'll
Yeah.
have the rest of their lives to be going from parking lot to parking lot. I want my kids to learn to be street smart
Yeah.
when they're young.
Yeah.
And-
And you know what we do? We do. So when we were in the shopping center, you did get some questionable people that came in sometimes. Not always. I mean, we were there for 9 years. So in 9 years, yeah, we probably saw a handful of people that would come in asking for $1 or something like that, or just coming in and they just, something in your gut said, like, who is this?
Yeah.
And we'd have to like, Steven, I would be like, oh my God, Steven, get out here. And he would have to gently come in the lobby and be like, oh, guide you out the door.
Do you know that you're entering a martial
Yeah, and,
arts
like, yeah,
you're all
studio?
trained in
Like, you will
self-defense.
get your ass kicked.
It's like, what are you doing? But again, those are all skills like that are good to develop. Like,
Yes.
like seeing, like, seeing a homeless person out and like learning to like not always just being in a bubble.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like just seeing life happen.
Yeah.
That's why I like Trolleys because it's like
I'm right there with
it's like
you.
a city, but also like a pretty safe little
Yeah.
place to like dip your toes and see.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I like it.
I love that I'm very community minded. I always am trying to talk to people wherever I go, but especially since joining Elevated Studios, like I see people that we've met out, like we used to call it Trolley Tuesdays. We would go
Oh,
to,
fun.
because I live in the next neighborhood over in Little Italy. We do
Yeah.
not walk. My children would never stop complaining if we walked. But
Relatable.
but then after Jiu-Jitsu, we'll go and get dinner somewhere in Trolley Square. And we're always like seeing people that, even if they weren't in the class that night, they're neighbors.
Yeah.
So we like can chat with people and it feels so much like the community
Yeah.
and like the urban community that I love and I'm used to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad.
And even though like I was raised Catholic, so and I don't go to a Catholic church anymore, but I love walking by St. Anne's and
It's
like
so
the bells are
beautiful.
going. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, very nostalgic.
Yes,
I just
yep.
love it. Yeah, I love the neighborhood. I think it's great. And we have no plans on leaving. Like, that's another thing. When we were moving from the old spot to the new spot, and we hadn't really, like, we hadn't decided where we were moving. We just knew we were outgrowing our space.
Yeah.
And we needed a new space. And we had so many people that were like, don't leave this area. Like, because we have a lot of students who live in Trolley, and it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
And it's really convenient for us. I mean, we also, because if we go too far, even, 6 blocks, we might have to think about getting a second car, and we really don't want to do that,
Yeah.
So
It's working. So what would you say to someone who like is maybe like a little jiu-jitsu curious, but they're like, I don't know if it's for me. I'm a little shy, or like, I don't
you
know
mean like
if
an
I want-
adult or like a parent of a kid?
I'd say either. Like, let's say an adult who is looking for some kind of like physical activity and is considering jiu-jitsu, and a parent of a kid who maybe is having social issues or is a little shy.
Yeah. I mean, so real quick, like for the youth aspect, you said like someone who's having social issues. We really feel pretty proud about the fact that we're a very inclusive environment. So like we have one kid in particular that I'm thinking of who's autistic, and he will blurt things out sometimes, nothing inappropriate, but like, shouting to his dad in the lobby, like, Dad, watch me, like things that might not be 100% appropriate. We wouldn't want, all of the children screaming to their parents from the mats, or kind of, running off. He's like really big for his age, like running off the mats and kind of stomping his feet to go get his water, not realizing how loud he's being. He requires like a one-on-one coach when he comes to class, which we have the capability to do that because we have a youth leadership team. It's called our cloud team. So we have kids who are ages 9 and up that can join this. They're selected. They can show interest, but
They're
unless they're
amazing.
selected, they have to have a year of experience of training and a certain belt, and they have their own gis, and they help, with the younger kids or any kids, right? So we have some older teens, like 16, 17, that are on the cloud team, and they're specifically assigned to like this kid, right? So like he needs that one-on-one. And this is the type of kid that benefits from this. Now, this kid I'm thinking of in particular has been training with us for like, I want to say 6, 7 years. And it is the only activity, like his parents have told us, it's the only activity that he can do. Because there's no other activity where there's, I guess, that amount of tolerance, or that there's that amount of modifying and like kind of creating the experience to be what's helpful for him, because we have the leadership in place to be able to give him that. Like there's not a lot of activities that can provide him with like how to do it,
The fact that he's still going, he's not giving them trouble to go, like you've made him feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And
the
that's
parents
huge.
appreciate it. And I think too that other parents that see that, because I was kind of worried, there's been times where I felt worried in the beginning, like other parents might see, this and think he's a disruption or something. And of course, that's just my own
that's
perception
just
that
what our minds do.
But when I bring it up to my husband, he's so different than me. He's so kind and gracious, and like he sees things in a different way. And he's like, I don't think so. I think that parents see that and they appreciate that we're including him and making it work for him.
I can tell you, I'm sitting there with the parents, and anytime there's any kind of behavior, like a kid who their parent might feel like, oh no, they're being disruptive, like I don't want that to be my kid. The attitude is so supportive among the parents that are watching. Like there's never any.
They're kids.
Yeah.
Like, what are we expecting?
No, honestly, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, it is really cool. And I would definitely say, from my experience as a parent, if you're a parent of a kid who maybe struggles with other activities and has trouble like kind of fitting into the mold of what other activities expect.
Yeah.
I have no experience with any other jiu-jitsu studios, but I would
Me
be willing
either.
to bet that this is an elevated, specific environment in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That this is like a perfect choice.
Yeah. I mean, we've had kids come from other schools, right? Like that even just in the area. I mean, we have people who drive. We have a handful of people who drive from Smyrna to us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like one kid in particular I'm thinking of who drives 5-6 days a week. Now he's homeschooled and he's an only child, so there's that little bit of tailoring that you get there. But yeah, we've had kids from other schools in the area, other jiu-jitsu schools that their parents are like, this is not. I mean, it's just usually not as structured, right? They're usually run by a guy, just a guy. And I love guys.
Just a guy.
We need guys.
We love guys. They're
Love
great,
guys. They're the
but-
best, but they also need like a woman or just someone else
team.
that's
Yeah.
a team.
Yeah.
And so we bring our own things to it and we make it work in a way that feels good and in alignment for us. And then we attract those types of people that also are in alignment because there's a market for everything. Like we look at some other schools and we're like, what in the world? Who would ever send their kid there?
Someone would.
And they do. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, there's a market for that.
Yeah.
Not my market.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what we provide is generally like a family oriented place. Now, in terms of adults, you say like, you know, what about an adult who's curious? I tend to lean, I used to be like, it's for anybody. I am not, I don't do that. I say that jiu-jitsu is not for everybody. It's for anybody who's willing to really leave a majority of their ego like at the door. You just, especially for guys, I don't know how many guys watch this or listen to this podcast, but I know because I train in an environment where it's mostly men, right? Like there's not a lot of women, right? Like me and this other girl, Dina, are I think the only 2 female black belts in the state of Delaware right now in jiu-jitsu,
Wow.
okay? But whereas there's like, I don't even know how many male black belts, right? And it is a more male-dominated martial art because it's wrestling, you know? And I feel grateful that I found my way here, but a lot of women don't. But so I have been in this training environment with mostly men for the last 12 years. Every now and like, you know, we do have females. I mean, I have a women's program.
And it's
So we have a
co-ed,
lot of
like,
women.
Like men and women are sparring together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If they want. And you can say
Yeah.
yes or no and like that's all good. But the point is that I've seen a lot of men struggle or boys, whatever, struggle to experience jiu-jitsu in a way that's actually productive because the ego gets in the way. And I'm not saying you got to leave all of it. How can you? That's not possible. But they come in thinking that they're going to be able to dominate and destroy and beat up or something. And it's like the equivalent of saying, I've never swam a day in my life, and now I'm going to jump into an Olympic pool and swim against like an Olympic swimmer.
And then
Do
they
you
might
really
be-
think you're going to do well?
They might be up against someone who might not look like
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Unassuming. Yeah.
yeah. Who might like beast them in
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
match. Yeah.
So it's very difficult, I think, and for women too. I've seen it in women too. It's just far less. But being able to come in with a beginner mindset
Right.
and say and be curious about learning instead of frustrated with what you don't know. It's like you can be frustrated, but like then let that go and now try to get better.
Yeah, because adults don't often find themselves in a situation where they're doing something totally new to them.
Oh, it's so
Funny.
hard.
I was just thinking about like comfort zones and how like it feels like a big thing about jiu-jitsu is like you're leaving your comfort zone to do this. And I was just thinking about something funny like several months ago. I was like telling the kids like we're gonna go home, you get take your gis off, and then like we're gonna get in the shower immediately. And you just looked at me and you were like, "Are you a germaphobe?" And I was like, "I don't know, am I? I guess I'm a germaphobe."
I
Like,
am.
Kind of
I
am
was
too.
I am.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, I was like, "Do not touch anything."
Oh,
You've
yeah.
been rolling around on people's like
Oh
feet
yeah.
juice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now,
I get that way with Austin.
100%.
when
I'm
she's
always
at,
shocked
like,
when I see a
trampoline
parent.
park.
I'm always
know.
shocked when I see a parent just like
You always see
act
me
like it's
making
not a
my
big deal. I'm like,
kids-
go, like they come out in the lobby because they're finished class and now they have to stay for the next class because I'm going to
Right.
train or something. And I'm like, go wash your hands. Like,
know.
have you not
Yeah.
figured this is
You
like,
always see me make my kids like wait until the
Yeah.
bathroom's empty to wash their hands.
yeah.
But I was like, damn, Renee just clocked me. Like I'm a germaphobe.
Well, I wanted to know if we were,
But now,
you know,
okay,
because I am,
I didn't know.
but
Okay.
I'm trying.
No,
Like, aren't we
so
all
I've
trying to
found
be
I've been
not
noticing
so
I've
crazy?
gotten better at not like because before I would have like a physical reaction if the kids would like sit on the couch in their gi and like take
yeah.
their shoes off
like,
at home.
ew.
And now,
Yeah, I scream sometimes. I'm like, God, don't do that. Chris is like, you're
Yeah.
so dramatic.
but now I'm like people are doing this and living their lives and not everyone is.
I know.
And people aren't.
It amazes me that
Yeah.
some people just are not, they don't think it's that big a deal.
That's funny.
I'm like, no, we need to like sanitize.
That's funny because I thought
yourself
that
right now.
"Are you a germaphobe?" was like get over it because
Oh,
you're
no.
in jujitsu now.
Oh no. But I mean, I will say, like,
Yeah.
it is funny how I don't really want to be like touched too much in general in real life, but like
Yeah.
on the mats, like I've had people like literally drip their sweat into my eyeballs, and it's like it doesn't matter because I don't want you to.
You're in that
That's why.
moment.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I want to try it because like I don't love to be touched.
Chris
in
is like,
general.
oh.
I'm not a big like.
I mean, the truth
hugger.
is, the truth is, it was my mouth. But I thought I'd also be better for you guys. But
It is true. I mean,
you're sweating.
my son.
Yeah.
It's
my
all
son
right.
is the sweatiest kid, and
He is a sweaty boy.
and I always feel bad. But I was the other day. Augie was, and I've talked about this with the dad, and it's like a funny conversation.
Yeah.
And if he happens to be listening, like, thanks for being cool about it. But Augie was sparring with a kid, and the kid was like picking his nose, and Augie was like, "Hey, don't pick your nose. I don't want to spar with him because he's gonna touch me with his booger hands." I was like mortified, and the dad was like, "No, good. He should tell him that."
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sometimes we all need to be called
So,
out.
yeah, you're going to go out of your comfort zone when you do jujitsu, and
Yeah.
that is a good thing. It's never a bad thing to leave your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You can always take a shower.
Yeah.
So my nieces actually do it, and well, one of them enjoys it. The other one is just kind of like forced to do it at this. Like she did in the beginning, but it's just not her thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like a sibling thing. Well, you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
And we wanted our daughter to do it. Like before she was even born, we're like, we definitely want her to do jujitsu, like for all the things that we've talked about, like as a whole. And she's 7 now, and I still can't get her to like want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that, as a female, when you said your family's not athletes, right? I never considered myself to be an athlete, like ever. I mean, I was a singer, actress, like
Same.
did art stuff. Like I was not an athlete. And enjoyed, like really enjoyed art stuff, right? Met my husband, start training, all this, fast forward to now, I 100% consider myself an athlete.
That's so
I'm
cool.
so empowered by martial arts. When we first moved into the studio at the Trolley Square shopping center, there was a incident that happened. It was like the first few weeks that we moved in there. We parked in the back of the shopping center.
The
Sketchy
worst
area.
parking.
Yeah. And this guy approached me, and it's like a whole story that I won't get into, but this guy approached me who just didn't give me I was scared, and I didn't know what he wanted, and he kept trying to get me to come over to like look at something on his car. And the long and short of it is I was so terrified. Like, I mean, my heart was like literally beating out of my chest. I felt like my breath was caught in my throat. And it makes me think about other incidences, and I don't want to get this to be too deep, but there's other incidences in my life. I've been very lucky that I've never had anything horrible happen to me.
Yeah.
But I think as females, we've all had these like close calls, right? And it made me think about these other close call situations where I felt very scared, like so scared I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
And it's because I was ill-equipped to deal with encounters like that.
Yeah.
And through jujitsu, specifically, getting used to somebody grabbing me by the arm, pulling me, just the physical touch part of like, you never want the first time someone that you get grabbed to be in a real life situation, a scary real life situation. And so I've been kind of like inoculated to like the physical touch, right? Through jujitsu, meaning like somebody could grab me or pull me and I don't feel scared that my body is now out of control and I don't know how to get it back in my control.
That is such a cool
You know what I mean?
perspective.
So, and then on top of that, there's all the actual techniques. Like, I'd love to see you try to take me down to the ground and I will strangle you. It's funny. There was a guy who's like a blue belt who was just trying to be nice. And he asked me one night recently if I wanted him to walk me to my car. I said, I don't know, honey, but I have a black belt, sweetheart. You have a blue belt.
Listen,
You want me
Blue.
to walk you to your car? I'll walk you to your car. But anyway, the point is that like I don't ever want that situation to happen to me again, but I do feel very confident that if it did, that I would be much more like equipped to use, not just, I wouldn't be using my physical skills. I'm not getting to a boxing match with this homeless drug addict or whatever, but that I would at least have my voice.
Right.
Like I was like losing my voice with how scared I felt.
Trust yourself a little bit more.
For sure. So and you know, since taking jujitsu seriously, it's like now I do yoga 3 times a week. I do strength training 4 times a week. Like I take my physical body more seriously, and I do consider myself an athlete now, but I've been completely empowered and transformed through the martial arts. So it is something that I'm passionate about. for females specifically.
Yeah, and you have tons of women's classes, and
Yeah.
you just did a women's self-defense, like a free self-defense
Yes.
workshop. And
Yeah.
as realtors, we are very often putting ourselves in
Yeah.
situations, hosting open
imagine.
houses where we're just sitting in a house and it's the door is unlocked and people can come in, or doing showings sometimes with people who we've never met in person and have only like communicated with virtually. And it is so
We got to do a self
I
defense
was just
seminar
thinking-
for like the real estate.
we,
Yeah.
we should do that. That's
Yeah.
like a great
just
idea.
to give
Yeah.
like just some tools and just like some general things that just to put into your awareness.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, but I do think like and I'm sure we have to wrap up, but speaking to like the wanting to go, not wanting to go, it's every parent's choice, right? Like
Yeah.
we can only do whatever it is that's like in alignment with what we want. So it's like my kids, like I have some non-negotiables. Like you have to brush your teeth, you have to get a shower, and you have to train jiu-jitsu. I also do make them do piano, but those are like the 4. And then it's like everything else is on the table. Like soccer, no, thank you. Like that's not going to help you in life.
If you're
Like
passionate,
how-
Oh no,
Oh,
Kristen's
sorry,
a
sorry.
soccer mom.
Okay, that's fine. It's cool. Team sports
but
are
for your
great.
kids
I'm
in
saying,
particular,
yeah.
that if that's not in
The
alignment with
stuff
what they're
that
interested in,
the life skills that you get through martial art training is unmatched.
Right.
You know? And that's fine. You
It's
can do
different.
whatever you want. But I'm just saying for my family, it's like my 9-year-old has never wanted to do jujitsu until like I don't even know if he really wants to do it now, honestly. He just is the type that fights us on everything.
Yeah.
So I've come to realize he's just going to fight us. We as the parents have to decide what matters and what we're going to make them do.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
give them a lot of autonomy. I mean, for goodness sakes, we homeschool them. So they have a lot of freedom and space in their day, but it's like
And maybe
jiu-jitsu,
it helps him
no.
realize, because he is a fantastic teacher, maybe it helps him realize he wants to be an educator.
I'm
and, like,
so
he's
impressed
learning
by his
those
leadership.
skills. Yeah.
So I think that we just have to decide as parents like what we want our kids to do. And we just, like we talk a lot too in jiu-jitsu about like the hills and valleys of training and just anything in life, right? You're going to go through times where you're really excited about something and then times where you feel unmotivated.
Yeah.
And that's where the discipline
Right.
comes in and where you just stick with it until you say it's not for me. Like it's not in alignment. Let me pivot and do something different. But we don't want to like build the quitter mindset of like, oh, I'm uncomfortable or I'm frustrated because I'm not doing as well as I want to. It's like, well, then put in more reps. None of these kids are special.
Yeah.
They're just putting in more reps. So if you want to get better, do it more.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like just that idea of like, we do hard things. We don't just give up easy. We're not just going to.
You sound like Kristen right now.
Yeah.
Life skills,
Yeah.
right? It's our job to prepare them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life's not easy.
Yeah. You guys are definitely in alignment there.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who really struggles personally with discipline. And I'm very aware of like not wanting to impart that on my kids and wanting them to have more discipline. And that's where you guys come in. And I'm very thankful for
Cool.
you.
Yeah. And I told my daughter, if you try something like soccer or gymnastics, like you agreed to start this, like you're going
gonna
to
see it through.
finish it. We're going to see it through. If you don't like this at the end of it and you don't want to continue it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we're going to try something else.
Let me just say one thing about that though, because we have the school, like our kids, we're not going to let them not do it just until they're 18 and then they can do whatever. You know what I mean? Just because it's our school. So it's like, you got to do it. But there was a time where only a few months ago where Anton, my oldest, really didn't want to do it anymore and was like very upset about it, like crying. And I totally hear what you're saying. And I feel really grateful that we own it because it forced us to stick with it and see it through, because what happened was I ended up having to just get super curious about where is this coming from? Because it was like, well, what do you mean you don't want it? Like what part, like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like one conversation. It was a conversation that took place over multiple days because you can only kind of chip away at a kid for so long. And then you have to give it rest and let everything marinate and then come back, you know?
Right.
When the time's right. And I ended up finding out, long story short, is that he was feeling frustrated because he was losing so many matches with other kids. You know, like they would take him down, get on top, strangle him, he's tapping again. And it's like, so once I got to the bottom of it, but see, he didn't really explain the story like that either, by the way. He was saying it like he's pulling me and pushing me and he's hurting me
Excuses.
and exactly. And because I train, I'm able to say, he's doing jujitsu. He is supposed to pull you and push you. That's to balance you
I've had
to
that
take you down.
conversation with Augie.
Yeah. So it's like, no, he's not. he's not eye gouging you. That's off limits. Like we do have rules. We have boundaries. He's doing jujitsu. Oh, he's getting on top. That's jujitsu. Oh, he's strangling you. That's jujitsu.
And he
So-
has tools if it ever is in an uncomfortable situation. He knows how to get out
Yeah.
of it.
So I told him, I was like, so you basically what I'm hearing is you don't want to do it anymore because you're not doing as well as you want to do. So the only way you're going to get better, well, first of all, the kids so I asked him, who are these kids? He tells me, and I'm like, oh, well, these kids train like 3-4 times a week. You train twice a week because you always ease them into it because of how resistant he is. And so again, like this went over the course of days. A few days later, he comes to me and he's like, well, if you're just going to make me do this, by the way, and I had no clue what we were even talking about. Like this just came. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, if you're just going to make me do jujitsu, then I guess I'll do 3 days a week. And I'm
Wow.
like, okay.
That says,
You know what I mean? I'm like,
that says so much.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's look at our schedule and see where we can fit it in because honestly, I really didn't think we had the space, but we just made the space for it and just did it.
Funny
And I'm
'cause
like,
like a month or two ago, you shared like a series of Instagram stories kind of about this, about how like for our family, this is non-negotiable and this might be controversial, but this is how we feel. And I had a lot of thoughts about it when you shared that. And I was like, it's very not in line with like how I am, but like, it's like stayed with me. And I think about it a lot and like what I will do with my kids when they, in the future, when they try to quit things now that they're not like little kids anymore.
Yeah.
I can promise you your kid will try to quit.
Everything.
And
Yes.
I
that
have
will
you as a model as
absolutely
well.
happen. Even if they are really good at something, if they could be so talented and they don't see it because they are in that moment and they're going to feel that way. And it's our job to help them get through it because that's where character is developed. If you let them, whenever things get uncomfortable, it's human nature for you to want to quit. If you push them through that, they are building the life skills.
I'm going to be reaching out to you guys.
And that's why we call it the hills and valleys of training because we go, okay, we're in a hill in the beginning, right? We're at the top of this hill and we're having fun and we're doing good. A valley is inevitable. It's going to happen. But what happens after the valley? Another hill, a breakthrough. So it's like we were able to push him through that valley and now he's really shining in that leadership program, that cloud team, and he's enjoying it. But I know another valley will come and it's like we don't have, I don't want to say we don't, we're choosing not to have an out of jiu-jitsu. We're choosing to stay on this path until they're 18.
It's cool that you committed
So it's
to that.
like we're committed to it. And what's so great about that is that we get to see through the hills and valleys the growth that happens. And it's not just something silly. Like this is something where he's going to grow in character, in body, mind, and spirit, as we say.
But
you know?
there's some kids that just have to work at their family business. They don't have a choice. After school every day, they're at their family's
I'm
restaurant
like,
or
suck it
whatever.
up, dude. Yeah, because he'll sometimes complain that he's there. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I know people who own a bagel shop and their kids are there at the bagel shop. You're at the martial arts school. This is so fun.
With other kids that are like your good friends.
And you get to like, it's also entertaining, even if you're not doing anything, to watch like
I know.
it go on.
Yeah. Like, just watch.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we could continue
I
this
know.
conversation.
So many things.
This has been amazing.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for watching our episode.
Check out Elevated Jiu-Jitsu Studios. They're amazing.
Yes, definitely. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of That Delaware Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at That Delaware Podcast and our team page at RosaioTeam_real estate. And of course, if you have any real estate or Delaware questions, feel free to reach out.